What is up, guys? You got NotTheWorst here, bringing another Black Desert online video, and today we're taking an exclusive look at the new class that's not quite released just yet, the Drakania. I got to take a little bit of an early peek at the class, try it out on global lab servers ahead of time, so I've been working pretty diligently developing pretty good PvE skill rotation, what to use, when to use, how the skills actually work with each other. Has a unique feature called ions with charging different skills, somewhat similar to shards on other classes that you may or may not be familiar with, but we've kind of got pretty nice PvE combo worked out for you. Did work with, shout out to Champion Jason, he and I were kind of picking each other's brains about PvE combos to go with it, and then I set up some add-ons to go ahead and set up with that. So you can get a pretty good combo on day one once you get leveled up and unlock your skills. You know what skills you're going to be looking for using for an endgame PvE combo. I won't be shocked if this changes over time. Of course, we only have just the Succession on release. We're missing Robum's skills, and you know, the Awakening kit's not even there, so there's no Awakening weapon with it to at least test out damage and that sort of thing. So with that said, let's go ahead and first start off with skill add-ons. The class itself has some very large animation type skills. As you'll see through, everything is big, looks very large, powerful type things. They can charge different animations. It's very Guardian-esque, but in my opinion, a bit prettier. So because of that, we actually don't need a ton of overlap for skill add-ons when we're talking strictly PvE. So you'll see things in this like one set up for monster damage, and that's because, again, these skills hit extremely hard. They're very heavy hitting skills at max leveled for it. So we have a couple of tier 3 options. There's only one that was really useful for it, and that's our Brimbolt Strike, which was that first one you saw me use there. This guy hits for a tier 3 setup, and it is very, very strong, especially when you use your skill rotation to make sure your shards are there. But this is the setup. You can see we've got our monster damage and critical hit damage added to that. You will find that most of this class's kit is crit 100%. There's a few skills that are actually pretty useful that aren't 100% crit. We do make sure we get a little crit rate bonus on those just to help them hit a little harder when they are set up. Then we've got our attack speed, movement speed on Eviscerate. This skill is just something that's going to be used actually between packs or right at the end of your skill rotation, so a little bit of movement speed moving from pack to pack could be helpful depending on where you're grinding. Obviously at more densely populated areas that's going to be kind of irrelevant. Then we have plus 15 DP and accuracy on Markethan's Flourish. This is just a middle skill used in the middle of your skill rotation, but again, in these big large skills you just don't have a lot of room for you have too much room to put skill add-ons on, so you don't really need the overlap of multiple skill add-on effects that are the same thing, so we get to use things like plus DP even if you don't necessarily need it. As mentioned before, we got critical hit rate added onto Brimbolt Rays. Both that and Skewer can pick up the extra crit for it. Attack speed just kind of doubled up there to make sure we've got maximum attack speed throughout our skill rotation, and then we have a minus DP skill in Markethan's Breath. At max, this is already a minus 15 DP. We're going to double up with that since we use it as a setup skill to get you in another minus 15 DP, and since it is a setup skill, we don't mind putting a little back attack damage to get a little bit of extra juice out of our damage moving from there. So now that we've got that, I'm going to go through these skills, but rather than using the skill names, especially since this is a brand new class, I'm going to use the key inputs when we talk about what each one is going to do. I'll walk through each skill while we're using it there, and then kind of put the whole combo together so you can see what it's going to look like. And then the ion shards are built around making sure that you maximize the amount of damage that can be put out by making sure that your ion shards are on there. What the ion shards are like I said, it's a little kind of gauge that'll juice up here each time you use certain skills. It'll either charge or use your ion shards through the amount that you get based on using the skill. So this rotation is built around making sure that you can maximize those. So individually, we're going to first use our WRMB. This, number one, generates some ion shards for us there, so we're going to have 3 at that point of setup. It also is a bit of a vacuum. Depending on the mobs you're fighting, you'll be able to suck them in. It's a huge AoE, so it's just a really great way to actually pull the pack that you're getting set up for, and they all get in. Now we're going to use our setup skills next. We have just F, which this is going to give us a plus 20 AP buff, right? So obviously we want to have that. We're going to throw RMB in here. You can see we tacked on a little accuracy on this, and we actually have evasion debuff on it as well. This is a plus 9% accuracy rate. This class has really good accuracy. Most skills are 10 to 15%. For the modifier themselves, we have that 9% bonus on it, which we can also tack on an additional 8% hit rate through skill add-ons, which we decided to do. Along with it, it has a 5% passive accuracy, just period. And then what we do after RMB, this one's kind of optional here. You can down LMB. This one's not super necessary, but that does apply an evasion debuff. An additional skill evasion debuff on the mobs, so you can pick up another 9% hit rate there since it reduces it by 9%. You'll see in the skill rotation we're using here, I don't actually include that. Why? Because it's absolute overkill for every area that we need it outside of Crypt of Resting Thoughts to actually stack that in. So if you find yourself in a position where you're not quite hitting the targets, or you want to change up your crystals or something to make it a little more offensive in PvE, and you need just a little bit of more hit rate, you can absolutely throw in that down LMB. But so moving through the skills, we're going to WRMB, get everybody pulled. Then we're going to hit F to get our AP buff. We're going to RMB to get our accuracy. And next we're going to hit SE and drop this little dragon guy down from the sky. That is actually our DP debuff skill that I mentioned before. So that's going to drop 30 DP since we have both the skill DP debuff, and then we stacked an add-on on there as well. 35 DP total, 20 off the skill itself in the absolute form, and then another 15 from the add-on. So now we've got our attack buffs all up. We have the mobs debuffed, our accuracies ready to go, and now we're going to start dumping damage after that. We're also going to begin using our shards. This is where that mechanic works. So which skill we use then is going to go ahead and decrease our shard usage, and we're going to manage that very carefully. So WRMB, F, RMB, SE, and then I'm going to shift RMB, LMB, and I'm immediately going to E that LMB. And I'll explain what happens there. So aside from it looking amazingly fancy across the board, which is quite true, it does, what we're doing here is making sure we're using our shards that get used, so we're hitting for the absolute maximum damage. And in order to do this, we need to make sure we use our E skill that can cancel us out of a lot of skills, and it's going to be really useful for not using shards on things like that LMB flow. So if I shift RMB and then hit the LMB, that flow right there is going to use shards, which won't let us have maximum hit on the skill we want to use next, which is going to be our shift LMB. So we want to E cancel it before it actually uses those shards from there. Okay, so I'm going to go do that and get into the shift LMB directly after, so you kind of get a feel for what that's going to be like. WRMB, F, RMB, SE, shift RMB, LMB, E cancel it, and then I'm going to shift LMB right away. Okay. So once we've got to that point, something that flows really, really well, we see the Shift E skill, which is extremely powerful, wide AoE, really big damage, really cool. It's got a decent amount of startup animation to it. However, that Shift LMB will actually cancel that startup animation for us. So that's what's going to be next. We're going to go Shift LMB and immediately into a Shift E, and then E cancel this end animation of that E. So really, really fast damage output. For the most part, depending on where you're grinding, that's probably going to clear the packs if you were able to get all of them. But we have a little bit of cleanup why we're going to E cancel the end of that animation. To throw a couple things, we're just going to finish it with another WRMB, generate some more ion shards for us. SRMB here is going to use those shards at that point, and then we can Shift F to either clean up the packs. It goes really nicely from the SRMB into that Shift F. As you can see, you can use that so it kind of like actually hits at the same time. Something like this, so that you're hitting them right away. It also gives you a nice lead up to the next packs that you're moving into. So now you got kind of a breakdown for it. I'll just go ahead and do the actual skill itself so you get everything in. WRMB, F, RMB, SE, Shift RMB, LMB, cancel, Shift LMB, Shift E, E, WRMB, SRMB, Shift F. So that's our full combo from there. I'm going to practice it a bit and get it down. I actually miskeyed an E in it, threw an extra E cancel in there. It wasn't needed, but you get the idea for the setup there. So it's really powerful. Overall, these are very large damage skills. Huge AoE, like I said, very Guardian-esque, except even prettier than what we've seen in general. The overall PvE performance, because of the test setup that we were given for these not trial characters, but these global lab characters, I didn't exactly have access to everything we would want to. So I will tell you the PvE damage feels like there's something left to be desired, despite the fact that some of these skills at at full charge are hitting in, 2594 times 6 with an additional hit of 2594. These skills are absolutely massive in damage when you set them up properly, so that you're hitting with maximum shards on most of them. And again, critical hit rate is pretty prominent, although not on every skill. We're missing not only just the awakening weapon slot itself, so we don't have that additional damage added in. I'm used to having dual pen black stars. We do have a pen black star offhand, but without the dual pen black stars, it does seem like the damage, we're missing that monster damage a little bit there. So, and of course, not quite having every skill that we would normally have access to on a full release character. But we've got a pretty good starting point with what to do with the class. At least you've got a nice combo you can start out with. This class doesn't have any evasion passives or anything that makes it scream like it really wants evasion. It does have essentially a PA skill that's actually ridiculously good. This is going to be super effective in large scale. You can see it charges up our ion shards as well. It's called Markathan's Scale. So the whole setup does have attack damage on at 10% accuracy, 10 targets. Damage reduction rate plus 50% to yourself for 5 seconds within that little aura. There's where it's going to ping enemies that are around you. It lowers their MP by 30 after certain periods of time. While stockpiling, then of course you're in super armor as well. So that's going to be extremely useful in a lot of situations. And like I said, it does charge up your ion shards as well. So pretty handy little skill that we're going to get there. As far as other passives that we got, as I mentioned, she does have a 5% accuracy passive across the board, along with HP on every single slot. So as you can see, she picks up quite a bit of HP just naturally there. So yeah, that's pretty handy. 5%. This is actually succession, so just keep in mind that Awakening would have a different setup since we don't quite have that set. And then her normal passives are AP and critical hit damage, somewhat similar to Guardian's setup. And then of course everyone nowadays has the Unyielding Might special attack damage plus 1%. So there you have it for a PvE guide, kind of an outline for you for starting off with the Drakania on day one, or at least once you get it leveled. If you're going to start it out on season, it may be a little while before you're using those endgame PvE combo, but at least you have an idea what you're going to be looking for as far as unlocking certain skills. Had a lot of fun playing this. Can't wait to actually get to level 1 and get to stream this for you guys as well a bit and kind of continue to tweak this. I do absolutely expect that we'll modify these add-ons and skill rotation over time as we get to spend a bit more time on it and kind of delve into it a bit more. But like I said, at least you've got something kind of a baseline to start with. It's a really, really cool class, a lot of fun. I absolutely love the look of the class in general. The overall design and the skills are just absolutely amazing. It's always one of my favorite things about Awakening Dark Knight is how absolutely beautiful the skills look when you're using them, and this class has exactly that same feel. So definitely highly recommend at least trying it out, maybe on a season or something. If you're not super sold on it or you don't want to try a different class, I'd recommend giving this a shot anyways. That's gonna be it for this video. If you did like it, be sure to hit the thumbs up there. If you do not already, make sure that you subscribe to the channel so you get notifications when new videos do go live. And if you'd like to catch me playing live, there is a link to my Twitch page in the description down below. You can jump on over there, drop a follow so you get notifications for that as well. With that said, that's going to be it for this one. I want to thank everybody for watching, and I will see you next time.